What's going on, YouTube, and welcome to Gold Line Hockey. It's Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at the Washington Capitals making a pretty significant change as they have mutually parted ways with former head coach Peter Laviolette. The Caps have let go of Peter Laviolette, and this is the report from the Capitals PR. Caps and head coach Peter Laviolette have mutually parted ways. His contract, which was expiring after this coming season, will not be renewed. So big news here for the Washington Capitals. I think this is something that is more of a philosophical move than anything. Peter Laviolette made it a real point to play the veterans this season and maybe to the sacrifice of the younger players. I think this is really good for a lot of the under 30 players on the Blackhawks, or on the Capitals. We might see more of Sonny Milano. We might see more of Alexei Protas, Connor McMichael, Martin Fehervary, a lot more of the younger guys in Washington. Expect to see a lot more of a philosophy of bringing up the young guys next season. I think Peter Laviolette, the fact they missed the playoffs and the fact that maybe there was a conflict of interest for the younger players, I think Peter Laviolette just really hasn't worked in Washington. And unfortunately for the Capitals, another one bites the dust. Since Barry Trotz left, in the past 6 years, they've been through 3 coaches now. It kind of makes you wonder, is that really scary R word going to come up in Washington at some point? I think that you look at what they've done already. They've already traded guys like Dmitry Orlov, who are stalwarts on the blue line. Ilya Samsonov moved on from the team. This is a very different Capitals team than what we've seen, and with rumors about Kuznetsov being on his way out, do they try to move a guy like John Carlson? TJ Oshie potentially might be retiring this summer. There's a lot of transition that I think we're going to see here over the next couple of months in Washington. And I think that Peter Laviolette being let go, or mutually parting ways, whatever you want to say, he's no longer behind the bench in Washington. I think there's going to be some significant changes to this Capitals team. And I think Alexander Ovechkin is probably going to be getting a call from management. Hey, listen, Ovi, we want you to get that goal. We want you to get to your goal mark and beat Wayne Gretzky, but we're going to be in a state of transition here this summer, and hopefully he's ready for that. And I think he is. I think he's patient enough, but the window is closing year by year, and I've kind of been saying this for a while now. I've been saying this for a while. The Capitals and the Penguins, for the last 2 or 3 years, I've had my questions about them, and they found a way to make the playoffs. They found a way to prove me wrong, but it just seems like a matter of time, with teams like the Devils coming back on the rise, the Rangers back on the rise, the Islanders playing the way they have been playing the last couple years, the Carolina Hurricanes, the way they've been. It is an extremely difficult division, and teams like Washington and Pittsburgh, who have kind of been running it with the older guys, are starting to fall between the cracks from these other teams in their division. And I didn't even mention how teams like Columbus and Philadelphia, as they kind of rebuild, start to work their way up. Where does that leave teams like Washington and Pittsburgh? And I just leave myself asking the question, when are we going to see the mass blow up? This is really about the Capitals, but it's also as much about the Capitals as it is their rival down the road in Pittsburgh, because I think these two teams are extremely similar to each other. They're kind of becoming teams from a bygone era, with guys like Ovechkin and Crosby kind of in the twilights of their career. It does leave you wondering what's next in Washington. And hopefully we'll have more answers than questions going into next season. But it's definitely going to be interesting with the draft capital that the Capitals have, with what their future looks like in terms of prospects. They have some really good players on this team. I've already mentioned some of them. Guys like Hendrix Lapierre, Ivan Mireznachenko, Connor McMichael, potentially who they could be picking up in this year's draft, potentially a top 10 pick, maybe even if they find a way to jump into the top 3 for Bedard, Fantilli, or Michkov. to kind of continue that Russian bloodline with Michkov. That would be kind of interesting. You know, the Capitals are definitely a different team, and I think there's a lot of excitement around what's next for the Capitals, but they're going to have to go through the hard pain and the hard suffering of this season first and the next couple of seasons, but I think they're going to try and keep it going until Ovechkin is gone. They're going to try and do what they can. You know, Tom Wilson will be a UFA in 2 years. You know, Backstrom is kind of injury-wise a little bit more of a liability than he's been. Same thing for John Carlson to an extent. How much longer does he have left in the tank? You know, the Capitals are really, you know, like I said, this is going to be an interesting summer for the Capitals. Do they move on from some of those guys that are going to be UFAs next year, like a Tom Wilson and some of these other guys? As crazy as it sounds, listen, crazier things have happened in the past. If Wayne Gretzky can be traded, anybody can be traded. And I think that kind of stands for guys like Wilson and Oshie, and maybe even to an extent, even a guy like John Carlson, I don't think is completely untouchable. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. What do you think of the Washington Capitals firing head coach Peter Laviolette? Because I think this is the first of many dominoes to fall there in Washington, D.C. this summer. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you again next time. Peace.